That's how we own it.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Tamika D, Mallory.
And it's your boy, Mysonne, the General.
And we are your hosts of Street Politicians, the place where the streets and politics meet. What's up, Mice? How you doing today?
I am blessed and highly favored on this good old day as we continue to do this work in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yep, in Louisville, Kentucky. We move around so much.
So much.
Yeah, there's lots of work to be done today.
Yes, it is, man. Way too much work to be done, man. Vote for Breonna. Kentucky, we need you to show up. Louisville, everybody in Kentucky, we need you to show up and vote for Breonna, man. Because the Dan man, the Scammering, cannot be the governor.
Scammer. Someone asked me at an event, like, how does it feel to have your biggest opposition in Kentucky coming from a Black man? I was like, when I think of the word, like when I think of the term Black man, it's such a term of endearment for me when I think of or say a Black man that I can't call him a Black man. I call him a man in Black skin, but I don't know about him being a Black man, because a Black man is supposed to protect Black women. So, I think it's very, very simple what we're doing and why it needs to be done. What Daniel Cameron did to Breonna Taylor's family is obviously terrible. And so that in and of itself is enough, I think, for people to really show up and do the right thing. But even beyond that, it is his intention for the people of Kentucky. So if you decide that you don't really care about Breonna Taylor, which is horrific, but if that's how you feel, you should at least be able to process what his plan means for everyday people who are living in the state of Kentucky, especially if you are parents of young people, if you're an elder, if you're someone who wants to be able to report police abuse and you want someone that respects you and that respects your rights to be not just the governor, but also the people in the Civilian Complaint Review Board that will actually look at those facts and a independent decision about what should happen in those cases. If you want to ensure that, yes, we keep our communities safe, but that safety and justice is applied across the board, and that we're not just focused on arresting and charging drug dealers, if you will, or people who live in communities of color, but actually we're willing to go after and deal with those people who are the big predators on our communities, from big pharma to how drugs actually are making it into states and cities and into people's homes on this massive level. I mean, there is so much to think about. And when you look at his plan, you know that his plan has absolutely nothing to do with serving the people. I just feel like it's just a no. Like, it should be common sense for everybody that it's just a no, that he cannot be governor of the state. So hopefully folks are seriously out here getting registered. As we've been out, we've been meeting entire families that are like, oh yeah, let me go wake up my kids because I've been waiting for somebody to come by here. I didn't know exactly what to do. People have been doing the work, and now the registration deadline has passed, or at least by the time folks actually see this show or listen to this show, the deadline has passed. And so all our efforts are going to GOTV, which means get out the vote. That means you're already registered and you need to get to the polls. And the other thing is that people need to be in any state you live in. If you're listening to this, check your registration early. Go check your registration from now, just to know your status, because people are purged from the rolls if they don't vote, a number of times. If they feel like you're kind of like haven't been showing up. If some information is wrong or they perceive it to be wrong, they start purging people. Some of it is voter suppression. Others are just ways of maintaining the list. So there's a lot of work that each one of us should be doing. But when we are in moments like this is why you have to be registered, why you have to make sure your paperwork is in order. Because when we're in moments like this, when I believe that everybody, even the folks who are like, I don't believe in voting, most of them understand the importance of showing up to stop Daniel Cameron from becoming governor. So that's the deal.
That's pretty much it, man. Daniel Cameron cannot be the governor, man. Get out the vote. GOTV, get out the vote.
I've been actually watching a debate happening. Well, I don't know if it's a debate, but a conversation that's been going on your page. And I saw Wallow post about it today, and others have began to talk about it, since last week. And I, and I don't always understand the details, but I know when reading what you've been saying about art and talent and lyrics and all of that, it certainly struck a nerve with me, because I feel like we have just gone to a place where I don't know what's going on in the music, like with music, especially hip hop music. I'm like, okay, same songs or stuff I can't even really like sing it because it's just like, I don't know. So there was stuff happening. I think the numbers are down or something like that.
Well, hip hop legend Juicy J had put out a video clip, and he was talking about hip hop sales being down 40% this year. And, there's been a lot of talk about how there hasn't been any hip hop album or record or anything that reached #1 this year. And hip hop was pretty much non-existent on the Billboard charts and on the charts of music that people love. There's no song or record that had reached #1. And, so it sparked a conversation. Then based on that, it kind of stemmed from this whole debate with Joe Budden and Drake. Joe Budden's, shout out to Joe Budden, he's my guy, but Joe is very critical. He can be an asshole sometimes, and he gives his opinion. He's unhinged, and he, if he likes something, he's going to give the same energy that if he don't like something. He's honest about what he likes and what he doesn't like. Unfortunately, that's who he is. Fortunately, it is who he is, because at least you know where you stand with Joe. But this time he talked about Drake's album. And he talked about how he just didn't think that, the main premise was that Drake was trying to capitulate to the youth. He was trying to make songs that didn't fit where he should be, where he believed he should be musically as an adult. As a 37-year-old man, he didn't feel that his music reflected somebody that was 37. And he said, as a Drake fan, I want to hear where Drake is at 37. And it seems like you're trying to appeal to a younger demographic, and you're doing songs with people who, I don't really see the correlation or how it even matches, and him to him, overall, he said the album wasn't terrible. It was a good album, but it's just like, I don't really want to hear this from you. And that started a conversation in which Drake responded back, and he called Joe Budden a failed rapper, and he started breaking down different things, and that kind of struck a nerve with me, because I've gone through that with Bozo Academics when we were going through our back and forth, and that was the main thing. He kept trying to say that I was a failed rapper, and I just, and that made me respond to that. And I said, what makes somebody a failed rapper? Like, what is the definition? Who defines what someone else's success is? And me knowing Joe for years, and knowing Joe is probably one of the dopest rappers. Like, if bar for bar, he's like actually a dope rapper. And a lot of times within the music business, people get tired of the bullshit in the music business. You don't want to make the bullshit songs they want you to make. You want to make songs that feel good, and they don't want to push those songs. They don't get behind those songs. They don't put the building behind songs that actually mean something, unless you're actually the biggest artist, and then they can't really stop you. And even then, they try to make it seem like nobody wants to hear that type of music, when we know that our fans want to hear it. So, it prompted me to write something about what a failed rapper is. And then it prompted me to start paying attention to a lot of rappers that actually are dope. So I started posting young rappers that actually are lyrical, because the notion is that the young kids are not into lyrics and they don't care about bars and they don't want to do that. They just want a beat and a hook and some, sing along bullshit. And I was like, nah, I don't think that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these young artists that actually spit and they dope and they take pride in their art. So when this Juicy J article came up, it pretty much fed into the narrative I was trying to say. Like, the music that y'all think people want to hear, they don't. When we was the music that I'm telling you has lasted, got us here. It's last for the last 50 years. We're in 50 years of hip hop and substance, music with substance, and artists who actually created bars and said things that people actually could relate to, that that challenged them, that made them feel like, wow, this artist is skilled, right? If you're an artist, why would I pay for an album from you when you doing the same shit I could do, right? You know why we go see the NBA? Because LeBron James can jump higher than me. Because I know Kyrie Irving got one of the best hands I've ever seen. I want to see somebody that can do something I can't, that I'm amazed by. Because you have a skill level of the talent that makes people say, wow, this level of excellence is something I want to see, something I'm intrigued by, something even if you were an athlete and you know what it takes to play at that level, you watch and you like, wow. You're able to identify with that. That's what fans want. They want to see you perform at a high level. They want to hear music that's at a high level, that challenges them, that makes them like, damn, how did he even write? I remember I used to listen to Nas's albums and just turn it off and be like, yo, this, I've never heard no shit. Like, I remember I used to sit there and be like, yo, this man, he painted a picture. He was lyrical. It was just like, this shit was like perfect music. And it was like, damn, I don't think I could do that, but I want to try, right? And it made me want to aspire to be that dope. And it made me want to be able to say, yo, I want Nas to hear this song and be like, yo, you dope. You know what I'm saying? So that's what a lot of us did it for. So when this whole fail rapping on shit, that's what, it kind of triggered me in that regard. So when Juicy J said what he said, it made me
It made sense. It's like it solidified exactly what you've been talking about. And I saw that you were posting like a bunch of rappers who are like, and I would like to log my complaint, which is that not one of them was a woman.
No, but and I understand that. And that's what
there's a lot of women, because Milan is dope.
No, but listen,
and there are others.
Listen what I'm saying. I'm not saying.
And Donique, you didn't post.
I did. What I'm sure, just give me a chance. Right
now,
Lady London came on my page. Lady London came on my page and she was like, "This list is dope, but it's missing people." So I'm creating my list with the whole plane ride. I couldn't get download none of the clips from the artists I like, the female artists that I like. So I'm creating the female artist list right now that I think is dope, and I'm putting that out.
Yeah, but here's the thing: as we have platforms, we both understand it. You should have said that in your post. Like, women are coming soon next.
No, why should I have to do that when I could just
because you didn't think you should.
I have to prepare you for them to
come. Let me tell you something about what I learned from my Black preacher best friend pastor, Dr. Richardson. He don't put nothing out, period, unless a woman is on it. Period. He just don't do it. It is his way. He does not allow all men to sit in his pulpit unless it's an all-male event, of course, which our church has many male convocations, Black male events, where it's all men and it's about male development and male fellowship and whatever. So not saying we as women don't disrespect it and try to be up in it. But in terms of just a general day, like a general church day, he ensures that there's a woman on every flyer, a woman in every invitation, a woman that's on every program, because the Black church has been so exclusive of excluding and has excluded Black women so much that you have to be very intentional. And that's why I was mentioning to you that what I thought Snoop's set, of course, was incredible at Yankee Stadium for the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And then he played a video at the end of artists that we've lost. And it was all men. And there have been women, right, that have been killed or died or whatever also. And I also thought that because it wasn't just artists. He had other types of entertainment people and just people in general in that clip. And I felt like it would have been amazing if it would have ended with some of the stories of the Breonna Taylors and George Floyd's and Ahmaud Arbery's, because our story is so inclusive. So I just think that the women should have been upfront. And if they weren't going to be upfront, you should have known that we were going to feel a way about it.
No,
because it's been 2 days.
No, it's been one day because I put it up yesterday. I put it up yesterday, and today I planned on going back, and I've been putting all the clips, and I've been finding my favorite artists, and then I'm trying to find like at least 2 clips that I can put up with different young females that I think are just amazing rappers, like lyrically. I got my tops. I got Rap Lady. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people.
Rhapsody got some stuff coming. That's really,
you ain't gotta tell me, like, for real. So it's like I want hip hop to get back to that. I want hip hop to get back to love and the creativity. I used to love to hear certain people's albums. Now it's like they're just throwing shit together, man.
Well, we in the fentanyl stage, but we must move on to our next topic, sir. I know this you could talk about.
I can talk about this all day.
Night, okay?
But I'm just saying, please, hip hop, please get back to creating, get back to sitting down and creating a project you love, that you listen to over and over, that you go back to the studio and you fix this and you fix that, and you want it to just sound like one cohesive project that somebody's gonna listen to like it's a movie and be like, damn, this is my favorite movie ever. Like, that's what albums used to be like, man. Let's get back to that.
Speaking of hip hop, moving along, but not really. Sexy Red was a big topic just in the last few days about her statements that Donald Trump got the Black people's, the stimmy, and with the stimulus money, it makes him a viable candidate, somebody that she supports for presidency.
The hood love Trump. Trump gave people that money, and he got people out of jail. We love Trump.
But let me say something. There were people who was all in the comment section saying that she was, ignorant and not intelligent and all of that. And actually, because I only read about it, but I did not watch it. In fact, I read about it because I'm on a million text threads with a million different people, and all of my, friends that are kind of they're of the community. Let me say they're of the community. They were pissed off, and so I watched it. I went and watched it, and as I listened to her, she was very clear. She didn't stumble over her words. She didn't sound like a person who has not thought about it, because I listen to people all the time make these declarations that they're like with whatever candidate, whether it be Trump or Biden or whichever candidate or whichever political situation. And you can hear where they sound like someone told them to say it. Even listening to Kanye and some of the things that he was saying in his last bit with the media, where he was just every day talking, you could hear Candace Owens and that Proud Boys mentality, and like you could hear that it had been implanted in him. And guess what? I'm not the only person that feels that way, because his own friends who were his friends or people he was associating with, who were around him consistently, other Black folks who most of them are artists, they were like, they could hear it. They were immediately saying, I know that somebody is telling him this stuff. And maybe he thought it was right, but he was repeating things that I could tell it wasn't coming directly from him. But when listening,
right-wing talking points.
Yeah, it was the right-wing talking points. But listening to her, she was very, very clear about what she was stating, while I don't agree with her. And not only do I not agree with her, it is factually incorrect what she's saying. It is factually incorrect that, it is factually incorrect that Donald Trump and his party are responsible for the stimulus package, because number one, most Republicans, I think every single one of the Republicans in Congress voted against the stimulus package and was trying to really vote down and challenge anything that had to do with giving relief to the American citizen. So let's be clear. It was a battle. Nancy Pelosi, who I ain't the biggest fan of at all. Like when I say not the biggest fan of, that's actually I'm not a Nancy Pelosi fan. But I can tell you that between Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the CBC and the Progressive Caucus and all of them, they fought like hell to make sure that there was a stimulus package. That is a fact. It is not some mess that's just being made up. Also, the president, I don't care if the president was Daffy Duck, right? The president had no choice but to do something to deal with the fact that people had nothing, no jobs, no nothing. That's what the stimulus, that is what it means when you have to declare a pandemic. Mm-hmm. When you have to declare a pandemic, the purpose of that is to unlock additional funds so that people can get relief, so that there's more, food stamps or whatever the social services are that we can provide to communities. So Donald Trump, and this would be, if someone was saying, oh, Joe Biden gave us the stimulus package, just like they want to talk about student loans, and we could talk about that next, but just like they want to talk about that, we already know, and it's interesting. It's interesting that when we say that, well, Joe Biden made sure that this $9 million of student loan debt, $9 billion of student loan debt was forgiven. They're like, oh, no, he didn't do anything. He just corrected some stuff from the past, whatever. They want to give you a very technical understanding of what he did with the stimulus package. With the loan forgiveness. They want to give you a very specific understanding. But when it comes to the stimulus money, they want to tell you that that was because Donald Trump went in his personal pocket and just started giving out money.
Let me get the black people some money.
Him and his people were fighting so hard to ensure that the American, first of all, if it was up to Donald Trump, he was never even willing to acknowledge that a pandemic was happening. If we be clear, if you want to be clear about what actually took place, Miss Red and people who are like her, okay?
Yeah, Miss Red. Miss Red, if you want to be clear, Miss Red,
like her, if you want to be clear, by the time we found out that that someone had COVID, the COVID virus, and that people were getting sick, it was when the media started showing it. But there is actual factual information that proves that they knew people were getting sick and that something was happening globally even before that, and they never told us anything about it. And Donald Trump and his people, his cronies, and those who sit up in the Republican House and hail him like he's the freaking king of all kings, they knew it too, and they didn't do a damn thing to try to protect the American citizens. It was after people started dying because the hospitals were not prepared. They didn't know what they were dealing with. He was so pissed off that people weren't doing whatever other political bullshit he wanted them to do, that the man first of all, he cut off supplies so they wouldn't even send masks and shit to states across this country. Then they started some other shit where in New York, he cut off the whole global entry process and threw all of us out the damn program, where the freaking attorney general in New York State had to fight in court to get us back our right to use global entry. That might not matter to some people, but it matters to me as much as I travel.
But you need that global.
Hell yeah, it matters.
But the thing is, and there's another very important point. Trump actually stalled the stimulus package because he made sure that they put his name on
the check.
On the check. He said, look, I'm gonna make this. Listen to me. Trump is a master marketer, bro. I'm gonna tell you the truth. That's what he did. That's his whole career has been selling dreams. That's what he did. He's in court right now for selling dreams. He's in court right now fighting a federal civil charge because he said that his properties was valued at 100 times more than they actually was to get money and get funds from people to pay for shit. This is what Trump does. Trump oversells himself. He lies,
Right.
does whatever he does. This is what he did. Like I told people with the hip hop community, every time Trump, Steve Harvey even said it. Steve Harvey was like,
oh my God, Steve Harvey told that story. We got to put that in this show.
please, we got to find that. Find that clip
That
from
clip
the
from
when he was
Earn
at
Your
Earn Your
Leisure
Leisure
of 2022.
Before he got sworn in, he had appointed Ben Carson to the head of HUD. And HUD is Housing and Urban Development. It's the only black on the cabinet. So I said, let me go up there and meet Ben Carson. So when I got to Trump Towers, I went in, sat down to meet with him, and he said, why are you here? I said, I want to meet Ben Carson because I have an idea. He got Ben Carson on the phone. Me and Ben Carson talked right away. I told him the idea I had. I wanted to take some of these schools that they had destroyed and shut down in black neighborhoods, and I wanted to take them and turn them into what I call vision centers, where we would create financial literacy, after-school programs, you know, and get these young cats off the street so they have something to do, and then give the parents some financial literacy. He fell in love with the idea. I leave the building, I'm on the elevator, Donald Trump say, I'll ride down with you. I said, I'll be damned. So he gets on the elevator, he riding down with him. Now, before I got on the elevator, I told the reporters, I'll be back over and tell you why I'm here. I walk up to the reporters, he walks in front of me. He the president to be, right? So he walks in front of me, now I'm standing there. First word out his mouth was, we're gonna repeal and replace Obamacare. I didn't say shit about that.
Trump calls you there for one thing, and you go there, and then he takes a picture with you and said, thanks for coming here, and like you endorsed him for his presidency. This is the same.
Or whatever. Or like
whatever.
you agree with his plan.
Like you agree with his plan, whatever. This is the strategy. He did the same shit with so many countless others, and I'm not gonna name no names, but this is what he does, and he's constantly doing it. So, Miss Red, I know that you looked like it because he tricked you. There ain't nothing wrong with you because he tricked a lot of them. But he tricked you, Miss Red. Trump ain't give nobody nothing. And Trump definitely
did give, no, I'm not gonna even say he didn't give it. He was president, and under his presidency, it happened.
Yeah.
I'm saying he
wasn't responsible for it.
I'm saying he wasn't responsible for it. He and his party, they tried to stop it at some point. And by the time they delayed it, like you said, to get his name on the check, people were dying, and it was much more that could have been done to prevent those deaths. Because you and I know, I would put my life on the fact that many people, too many people, did not actually die from the virus, from the COVID virus. They died from our system not being prepared, and the freaking hospitals down here damn killing people. Your friend is an example. What they said, they went to see him. What's his name? The artist Fred the God. He went to Fred the Godson. Yeah, God bless him and his family. Went to the hospital. Yeah, he wasn't feeling well. He was having chest issues. He wasn't feeling well. He was clearly overweight, all of that. But his wife said he was doing okay. He was making it through. They decided at some point, without him needing it, that he needed to be on a respirator, because that was the general response, a ventilator. On the ventilator, because that was the general response at the time when they didn't have the tools or the understanding of the virus, and they put him on that ventilator, and that's when he got really sick and died.
I said, anytime you put somebody on a ventilator, you stop the actual organs from doing its job. So as whatever's going on, your body is not fighting it. You're breathing artificially. So what happens with COVID, and what we learn now, is that the more that your body fights it, and the more that your lungs, even if it gets tight and it looks like it fights it back. It builds strength, and it breaks it down. You just got to continue to fight. You got to move. You got to be active. You got to make sure your blood is pumping. The less active you are, that shit takes over your body, you know.
But
And
I don't want to, I'm not trying.
I'm not trying to diagnose. We're not doing that.
Yeah, no, it's not even diagnosing. I don't want people to walk away from this conversation feeling like we are saying that there were not people who were really, really sick and they died because they contracted the virus. I'm saying that when you start talking about Trump
There were
sending
a lot more. There was just a lot of people that didn't have to die.
they didn't have to die. They didn't have to die. And that's connected to the incompetence of Donald Trump. So when all you care about is the fact that he got some checks to a few people a few times, and there was a little bit of money crossing hands, and meanwhile grandmama and them dead. Meanwhile, cousin so-and-so is dead. Meanwhile, 5 or 6 people died in the same household because of his incompetence. So let's just be very, very careful, okay, about what we say. And again, I'm not gonna sit here and say he didn't give the money because he was the president, right? And so he did what a president is supposed to do. Now, that brings us to the conversation on the student loan forgiveness. Here's my position on that. $9 billion. They say, oh, that's not that much. It's not, and the big piece. Shout out to Tony Lindsay, who he and I argue on the phone for 3 hours. He and I, Jules, just had a 3-hour conversation a couple of days ago. Julianne Hoffenberg that works with us, and we often have disagreements, but the one thing I will say is that the man reads and he knows what the hell he be talking about, but we just see things from 2 different perspectives at times. And one of the things that he was saying, which by the way, I don't know what's up with Instagram, but the silencing of people is so wrong. Like, I don't care what you say, as long as you don't curse me out or disrespect me or start that lying and all of that crazy shit, that trolling, I want to hear it. I might not agree, and I'm intelligent enough either to push back and or go learn and or say I don't know and ask other people to help me. I don't need comments being deleted off my page just because a respectful dialogue is happening where 2 people are debating or somebody is disagreeing with me. And he wrote a comment on the page the other day where he was basically challenging the whole student loan forgiveness piece. And then somehow Instagram deleted it, and I saw him write about it on Facebook. He wrote about how, and he never said my name, and he always tries to make sure that even if we don't agree, he protects the integrity, because people start piling on to you. So he said my friend's page, the comment was deleted, and I just happened to see it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I took a screenshot of what he said because it wasn't not a curse word. I mean, literally nothing, my son, nothing. And I posted it so that the dialogue could continue with people who feel how they feel about the issue. And the main piece was, he said, this money, and there were other people who made the same comment, but this money is pretty much correcting an old problem that was where people were being charged improperly, right? Or people were paying money they shouldn't be paying. And there was discrepancies in the system, all different types of discrepancies. And so the forgiveness was to clear that up. And then there is a portion that is specifically for people who are disabled. They either, they can't work or whatever their situation may be, whatever the criteria is, and they can no longer pay the loan. It can't make the loan repayments. And so let me just say real quick what the difference is between that example, because I do recognize that now you want to give Joe Biden credit for something, but then when we talk about the stimulus, it's like, oh, let me tell you all the reasons why Donald Trump ain't shit, because that's how I feel. Here's the thing. With this situation with Donald Trump, we just talked about the people that had to fight him to make it happen and how folks was dying and shit as it was going on. With this situation with the $9 billion, it was a part of Joe Biden's campaign promises, which he has not lived up to 100%. There are people who have been out there protesting about it, writing, meeting, doing everything. And he put people in place in his administration to focus on trying to get it done. So the first thing they did is they attempted to cancel most student debt, right? That was the first thing they did. You already know, I ain't even gonna say it because they was like, oh, there they go again. We know who shot that down. We know what happened. We know who voted against it. We know the Supreme Court that Donald Trump stacked shot it down. We know what happened. So now they have to piecemeal it. So going back to clear up something that was done wrong to people is actually a good thing to me. It's a good thing to me to go back and say, this is wrong. Let's try to correct this. Let's continue to work on it. Do I think that, oh, that makes him the best president that's ever lived and there's not more to be done? Hell no. Hell no. Of course we know. You said shit. Here's the thing. I'm sitting on student debt that I need to be cleared. I need that. I need that loan forgiveness, because if I could spend more of my monthly money going towards the mortgages that I want to have for the properties that I want to own in additional properties, then that helps me to create more generational wealth for my family and my bloodline. So it actually would be very helpful to me. So I'm not trying to sit up here and praise something that's bullshit, because I need it as well. But the point still remains is that they have said, let us go and do this because it needs to be corrected. Now,
but there's a lot of people, you know what I heard? But I've seen a lot of people on that your page saying that it worked for them, that they got loan forgiveness. So all of
well, but those are different. So he's done. So for instance, our cousin, or my cousin, your friend, Nadine McQueen, she is one of those people that applied and got her loan forgiven. But she worked for corrections. There are people who work in hospitals. And so there are different layers. Like if you're a city employee, if you worked in certain parts of government, then those people got forgiveness. And it goes on and on and on. We want to see it across the board, right? So for people like us for a person like me who doesn't work within a government agency, I'm not in any of those categories, we want to see it across the board, because that's what he promised. And that is actually what needs to be done to try to level the playing field of wealth in this nation. However, there are people who have received student debt relief.
It is. That's what I'm saying. I know people that's specifically was like, it worked for me. Thank God. I'm so happy. So I'm like, I hear what you're saying. But at the end of the day, we understand, like, people act like they don't understand that the president has limited power. And that's why there's 3 branches of government, right? Because they don't want the president to be able to do whatever he wants to do all the time. And it balances. And when you have a House and whatever, and Supreme Court, and you have all of these people, and they're bent on trying to stop you from doing what you want to do. And I've watched the man make several executive orders just to pause the student loans, because that's within his executive. He can make those decisions. He can say, all right, we're going to pause them for this amount of time. It's the amount of time we could do it. Now he's doing this. This $9 billion that he's able to come up with funds that is within, his power to do, he's accomplishing. It's like, listen to me, I'm no Joe Biden fan, but what I can say is that the man is definitely attempting to do shit that I haven't seen no president do for Black people in a long time. That's just my personal opinion. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I ain't capping for nobody. I don't care about none of that. But I'm specifically watching shit happen. I'm like, okay, the man's attempting to do shit. I already know. Just like if we didn't learn anything from Obama's presidency, then you understand that they ain't trying to let you do too much shit for Black. I don't give a fuck
at all.
They just not. If you have not seen that from Obama's presidency, if you didn't see what they literally did, how they pretty much try to rubber stamp everything that man was trying to do. If you didn't see that, there's a lot of people that just not politically astute enough to understand exactly what's going on. So I don't get mad. You just want the basic shit. I want my bills to be good. I want money.
Or better than basic.
You want the shit that you want. So you don't give a fuck about none of the political. You don't understand the ins and outs and the people that's over here and how you gotta be cool with this one and get this one to be on your side and all this shit, and how these people want to make sure that you didn't do nothing because they got a presidential election to come up, and if it looks like you doing something, then it's harder for them to get into office, so they got to try to block you and try to say that you ain't do like, you don't understand these games that's being played, then you just sit there and you frustrated, right? And it's just like, I literally for the last few years I really just sat back and studied and watched this shit, and I said, it's a hell of a game.
And meanwhile, I could still say on the other side, there's a bunch of other shit that's not happening, like that he still is not doing and not doing properly. And so I can be a person who is nuanced, who understands all the different areas, and still I can say, you know what, I'm still not going to, I'm not going to take my foot off the gas. We still going to push for what we know is right in this situation and so many others. So that is what it is. And, there'll be people who will feel, and it's completely okay to have people who say, I don't give you no brownie points for this. You said you was going to do more. I want you to do it because you're not going to do the hoodwink trick of we did a little bit and now I tried and I couldn't not figure it out. And in fact, Tony mentioned, I don't know if this is 100% possible, but he says it is. So, people should do their research. He talked about the Higher Education Act and how with the Higher Education Act, the president could cancel all student debt. Let's see, let's see. I've asked a few other of my political people. There's some people who disagree, others who are saying they're looking into it. And I'm waiting to hear back on where folks stand on that. And is it possible? Because perhaps we need to geo-target, as they say, or really target our ass to be and use this act to cancel all student debt.
Why we ain't been doing that? If somebody knew that, why that ain't been?
Well, we don't always listen to each other, and that's why I reposted it, because it seemed that there's also a solution. So let's see, what else are we to talk about today? Oh, I did want to give a thought of the day. I did a panel this past weekend for Charlemagne the God, his mental wealth expo, which, Charlemagne is really focused on mental health, specifically trying to get Black men to get therapists and to get more in tune with our mental well-being. And in the panel, during the panel, I was on with Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child, as well as Styles P. And we were talking about, just this whole idea of like getting help and also knowing our truth and knowing our story and understanding what makes us unique and why we have to have a certain type of or certain types of people who are in those rooms with us, helping us to think through our stuff, right? And the thing that struck me that I said on the panel, and it really resonated with the room, is that everybody can't help us. Everybody can't help us heal. You sitting down with people who don't know the history of Black people, Black men, Black women, our stories as Africans who were stolen and brought to this nation, robbed of our culture, robbed of our names, if you robbed of our homeland, disconnected from one another, disconnected from family members, from tribes, from tribal culture. If you don't understand that as a therapist, it is only a limited amount of support you can actually give to Africans here in America, us as Black people trying to get an understanding of the challenges of our households and our families and our relationships with our children and all the things that we deal with and suffer with every day. Everybody can't help you. So make sure when you're looking for a therapist, it doesn't mean not to go to the one who just has a real good clinical understanding, because the first person to help me with the drug treatment stuff was somebody who I know was was disconnected, if you will, from my realities, and all the things I just said about our culture. But what the person was able to do was provide me with their own story, right, about their drug addiction and the issues and the anxiety or whatever. So I'm not saying you should not also make sure you maintain some type of therapy until you can be in this quest, this constant quest to find someone who can take you to that next level. Because he was able to help me with the surface, but my current therapist knows our history and believes and understands and lives and walks and is a Black man. And so where he takes me is to a place that goes deeper into the anxiety of trying to be perfect, of the failures of society, of as a Black woman being demonized, and everything that I suffered. And so everybody can't help us. That's all I want to say, is everybody can't help us.
They can't. I think at some point I have to get to a therapist. I don't think I'm that comfortable. I've had therapists before, and I've sat with therapists, and I don't think I've had the one person that made me feel that I needed to talk to them or open up, or made me feel like there was some level of something that they was doing for me that I couldn't do for myself. So, you know, maybe I have to get to that, because
Yeah.
like I'm always my own therapist. I feel like whatever throughout my life I've been dealing with trauma and feel like I had to deal with it and I had to overcome it. And I found my way out of so many different traumatic situations on my own, that I haven't found anyone that I'm able to talk to that makes me feel like,
You haven't looked.
yeah, maybe I haven't looked, but but I've just never even found that in life. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, even in life, I've talked to people and they hear me and they understand, but I don't really think the average person is able just to identify with the shit that I've gone through. Like, when you say this person identified and gave you their own, there's never been one person that gave me a story, with the exception of maybe Tone. Tone is probably the closest thing to a therapist that I've ever had, to somebody that gave me a story that was similar to mine, that made me feel. And the thing is because we both deal with our trauma the same way. Like, he's a person like me. Like, everything he went through, he figured it out on his own. He got up, he just like, fuck that, I'm gonna figure it out. I gotta be strong for me. He's alone, and like, this is how he's always been. So when he's telling me something, it resonates, because I not only do I see him move in a certain way, and I know that we similar in those regards. It also is that the story that he tells me and the way that he rationalizes it and visualizes it is the same way that I did. So, you know, I guess I got to find somebody that you know makes me feel that comfortable to have those conversations.
I think, Tone, you know, a friend is a friend, but a clinical therapist, a person who's a psychiatrist, psychologist, is a total different thing. And I'm just sharing that with you because I had friends who knew about my situation. You were one of the friends that knew about the addiction, but you could only tell me certain things. But it takes somebody who is studied in therapy, psychology, that can help you with a deeper understanding of a lot of like unraveling the things that you got to work on, right? As humans, all of us have stuff. I believe that every person, and specifically every Black person in the world, and especially in this crazy ass America we live in, should have a therapist, somebody who's clinically capable. It takes time to break down those barriers, but I certainly needed it. And I don't think that I could even make it if I didn't have somebody who can hear things that I'm not even saying, and can use their studied knowledge to help with some of our issues. I think, you know, that's just something that, anyway, that's how I feel. So that's my thought of the day. Everybody can't heal you. Get the therapy, but make sure you're also in a lifelong quest to find somebody who knows your cultural story, our cultural background, so that when they're meeting with you, when they're talking with you, it's not just on the surface, but it's deep down to our roots.
That's a good one.
Now, we don't have a guest today. We got only a few more minutes, so it doesn't give you a lot of time for.
Yeah, I don't even need it, man. You know what I don't get is how we don't understand that oppression and war breeds death, and it breeds contempt, and it breeds hate. And if we're really invested in stopping death and stopping violence and stopping all of these things, then we have to stop oppression. So we have to stop the things that cause the things that we really saying that we against. I tell people all the time, when you take respect off the table, when you take humanizing people off the table, when you leave oppression on the table, then you actually leave violence on the table. And with that said, there's another great episode of Street Politicians, the #1 podcast in the world. Shout out to our non-guests, but we had some dope dialogue today, you know, and we talked about some good things, man. Hopefully something we said resonated. I hope if you're a hip hop artist, I hope you're listening. It's time for you. If you're a dope hip hop artist right now, the time for real music. People are looking for those type of individuals, and they're looking for you. So make some good music. I'm not gonna always be right. Tamika D. Mallory's not gonna always be wrong. We will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Peace.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it.